went to bed last night. I was rolling from side to side. Yes, I went to bed last night and I was rolling from side to side. Friends, I wasn't sick. I was just dissatisfied. I've got the misery and the backache. My feet hurt me when I walk. I said I've got the misery and the backache, and my feet, they hurt me when I walk. You know that too much conversation, it hurts my tongue to talk. So I better play the blues for you. Said good morning blues, blues, how do you do? You know I'm doing all right, buddy. Good morning, how are you? Let me play that one more time. Sing it one more time. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? You know I'm doing all right, buddy. Good morning, how are you? Say that one more time. You know I'm doing all right, buddy. Good morning, how are you? Hi everyone, welcome to jamplay.com. My name is Michael Hawkeye Herman. It's a real pleasure to be here with you today. I'm going to be talking about blues rhythms in this first event today, and I've got a lot of information to share with you, and at the end of the session we will be able to take questions and comments from you. But I want you to know that to start out with, the overview of what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be explaining from square one the basics of blues rhythm guitar, okay? And I'm going to build on that with various alternatives that you can use to play blues guitar, especially in the rhythm. The second event will be on blues lead guitar, and the third event today will be on beginning slide guitar. So before I start, I want you to know that you should probably be able to play all the first position chords, and it'd probably be a good idea if you can play bar chords as well. Don't have to worry much about lead in this situation, although I will be giving you some bass lines as part of the rhythm aspect of what we do with blues music. So, basic chords, few bar chords, a little bit of familiarity with the fingerboard is good. If you're a beginner, stick around. I'm going to start with square one. And if you're an advanced beginner or an intermediate player, be patient. I'm going to build this so that eventually you get the information, hopefully, that you need. And of course, at the end for the last half hour or so, we'll be able to take questions and comments. And that means that if there's something that I didn't cover or you have a question about, hopefully I'll be able to answer it on the air. Okay, so I really feel like I should maybe play another song for you. So I think what I'm going to do is play... I woke up this morning, the blues was all around my bed. I woke up this morning, the blues was all around my bed. I didn't know what to do. I felt the blues was swimming all in my head. I love my baby don't love me. Ooh, my baby don't love me. You know, I really love that woman, and I cannot stand to let her be. Now there ain't but one thing make Mr. Hawkeye drink. How you treat me, baby, I began to think, ooh, babe, my life don't feel the same. My life just don't feel the same. 'Cause you break my heart now when you call your other man's name. Makes me want to play the blues, people. One more time. I woke up this morning, the blues was all in my bed. I said I woke up this morning, the blues was all around my bed. You know, I went to eat my breakfast, and the blues was in my bacon, eggs, and bread. Play it. this morning, the blues was all around my bed. The blues was all around my bed. You know, I went to eat my breakfast. The blues was in my bacon, eggs, and bread. Okay, thanks so much. It's always good to play a couple blues songs first thing in the morning, regardless of whether you're feeling good or bad. You know, one thing about the blues music, it's not about sad music. There are happy blues, there's sad blues, there's blues about food, there's blues about automobiles and clothing. Blues is about life. Country music is about life. It's three chords and the truth, generally. And so what we need to do is talk about the basics of blues. And so if you're here watching this webinar, and I'm really glad you are, I got to start at square one and explain the structure of blues music to you and how to count blues music. I know a lot of people think they know how to count and learned how to count in elementary school, but when we count musically, there's a way of counting so that you don't get lost, and I will explain that to you. So in terms of the basics of blues, what we're going to be looking at during this event is 12-bar blues, okay? That means that there are 12 measures. 12 measures, and there's three chords, the 1, the 4, and the 5, and it could be in any key, although I'll probably start out in the key of E because it's the most basic. So 12 bars, what does that mean, and how to count? 12 bars means that there's 12 measures, not necessarily 12 saloons, okay? So there's 12 measures, and for the first 4 measures, you play the 1 chord, the tonic. So if we were in the key of E, that would be an E chord. Then for the next 2 measures, it's the 4 chord. In the key of E, that would be A. Watch. E, F, G, A. We need the 1, E, and the 4, A, and the 5, B. E, F, G, A, B. Okay? That's how we can transpose easily from any key by knowing it's just the 1, 4, 5 chord. And then whatever key we're in, we use our fingers if you want. I'm using that for as illustrative for you. So if we were in the key of A, we would assign A as number 1. A, B, C. The 4 chord is going to be D, and the 5 chord is going to be E. Now, the biggest mistake that people make when they want to play the blues in a different key, let's say G, they might go like this. G, A, B, oh no, you're already wrong. G is number 1. You don't say G and then go A, B, C. It's G. That's number 1. A, B, C, and D. So G, C, and D are the 1, 4, and 5 chords in the key of G. Now, I could do this for every key, and you should be able to understand this now. And if you don't understand quite what I'm talking about later on in the session, you'll be able to ask me. Okay? So backing up a little bit, it's 12 bars, 12 measures. The first 4 measures are the 1 chord. In E, that's E. The next 2 measures are the 4 chord. That's A. Okay? The next 2 measures, now we're up to 8 measures, is back to E. Okay? Then the next measure, 9th measure, is going to be the 5 chord. That's B, B7. We like to use a 7th chord when we play the 5 chord. Then the 10th measure is going to be the 4 chord again. So that's an A. Then the 11th and 12th measure are generally the 1 chord, although on the 12th measure we like to put a 5 chord. If we're going to continue the song into another verse, we like to put the 5 chord at the end, okay? So now, 4 measures of the 1 chord, E. 2 measures of the 4 chord, A. Then back to 2 measures of the 1 chord, E. Then 1 measure of the 5 chord, B, B7. 1 measure of the 4 chord, A. And 2 measures of the 1 chord, E. Sometimes with a 5 on measure number 12. So how do you count that? The worst way to count in music, it doesn't matter what kind of music you're playing. It doesn't matter whether you're a jazz player, a flamenco player, a classical player, blues player, country western player. You don't count measures like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a measure, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm lost. Okay? Where am I? I just repeated 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I know it was 4. I just counted out 4 measures for you. But if you're inexperienced in playing music, you can get lost very easily. Especially if I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you know where I stopped? What measure I stopped on? Probably not, unless you were counting along with me very carefully, okay? So this is very crucial information, and it applies to all music. Just imagine, most jazz standards are 32 bars, 32 measures, okay? So if you counted the measures so that you knew where to change the chords, if you counted those measures like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, for 32 measures, you would get lost very easily. And it's easy enough to get lost in just trying to count out 12 bars. So what's the solution to this? The solution to this is to count like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4. 5, 2, 3, 4. 6, 2, 3, 4. 7, 2, 3, 4. 8, 2, 3, 4. 9, 2, 3, 4. 10, 2, 3, 4. 11, 2, 3, 4. 12, 2, 3, 4. And now I know that I did 12. I just counted out 12 measures for you. All right? So you take the first count of each measure, and that becomes the measure that you're on. Again, count out. I'll just count out 4 so that you understand. I'm sure it's clear. Everybody knows how to count to 4, but it's a little tricky to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but that's the way it's done so that you don't get lost. Now I can play 12-bar blues for you, and I can combine the chords in there because I already gave you what the formula is. All right, and I'm going to really take this apart slow. And those of you that are intermediate players, bear with me, please. Maybe some of you didn't, even if you're an intermediate player, you've been counting measures 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 as well. So even if an intermediate player might not know how to do that, and so you've already learned something about how to accurately count. Especially, there's songs that have 16 bars, 18 bars, 24 bars, 32 bars, and it's very easy to get lost. So what I'm going to do is back up and use my counting system, which is actually from classical music, because sometimes classical music has 5 pages of music across the chart, and there could be 115 measures. And the conductor will say, go to measure 105. Well, usually the number of the measures are marked on the chart, but if you count the way I just showed you how to count, you won't get lost. So let me combine the chord changes that I gave you. The basic formula is the 1 chord in E, that's E, the 4 chord, A, then back to the E, the 1 chord, then the 5 chord, B7, then the 4 chord, A, and the 1 chord, 1. So shortening that, without telling you the measures, are the changes that I dictate to you for 12-bar blues is this. From the 1 chord to the 4 chord, and then back to the 1 chord. So from E to A and back to E, okay? And then we go to the 5 chord, B7, and then we go to the 4 chord, A again, and then we go to the 1 chord, E, okay? So, can't tell you how much, if you guys think that this elemental stuff is boring to me, it certainly isn't. I was fortunate enough to sit at the feet of many great bluesmen, and it was assumed when I sat down to learn from them that I already knew the basics that I'm showing you now. And so I want to break this down very carefully, because I don't even have to count anymore. I can feel that I've played the 12-bar blues changes probably a million times, because I'm an old guy and I started playing the guitar when I was 13. Well, I started the uke when I was 9, and I started the guitar when I was 13. And that means that I've been playing the blues music for 57 years. So after a lot of repetitions, it takes repetitions, after a lot of repetitions of this, which you have to crawl before you walk and walk before you run. After playing this chord formula many, many, many times, I didn't have to count anymore. I could feel in my gut when it's time to change. I don't get lost. Otherwise, actually, I'm a singer as well, as you saw, and so otherwise, you could get lost very easily, especially if you're singing. So if you have any problems with this, there will be supplemental material, but I want to remind you that if you go to my website, hawkeyeherman.com, you'll see some basic videos on the guitar lessons page that are from Jam Play, and also down below are PDF files. So if you want to print out right now while you're watching this, you can go to my website and go to the guitar lessons page and scroll down, and you'll see that there's the blues formula there and a lot of other good information. And you could actually put it up on your own home screen right now and have a graphic of it. We will supply graphics and supplemental material for you later on. So I don't want to count yet. I just want to. I don't want to include my guitar yet. I want to explain to you this basic concept. Okay, 4 measures of the E chord in the key of E. Okay, the 1 chord. I'll count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4. Now I would change on number 5 to go measure number 5 and play measure 5 and measure 6 using the 4 chord, the A chord. And I'm really taking this slow, because for some of you, this is all brand new material. For those of you that know this, hang in there with me. We're going to get to some more advanced stuff as time goes on. So here I'm going to count out the first 6 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, change. 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I said change. On the 4th beat of the 4th measure, I said the word change. Now there's another little lesson for you. Okay, so that's what you do. Is that you should also use the last 4th beat of the measure before the change to tell yourself to change. Now, I could have said change to A, but I didn't. I just said change because I already told you that. So, okay, so now we're up to measure number 6. We're halfway through the blues form already. All right, so now measure number 7 and measure number 8 go back to the 1 chord. So now I'm going to count that for you like this. 1, I'll count it in. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3. Change to the 4. 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4. Change. 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and if I was going to continue playing, but I want to always go back to the top to explain this to you, so that I'm giving it to you, this to you in pieces. If I would have immediately done 12-bar, counted out 12 bars and the chord changes for you, those of you that are beginners might get lost, and I don't want to lose anybody. I want you to hang in there with me. If you got to leave your computer screen for a little while and take care of business, that's fine with me. But I'm taking this really slow. Okay, so now I was up to measure number 8, wasn't I? I made it through the 1 chord, the E. I made it through the 4 chord, A, and then I made it back on the 7th and 8th measure to the tonic, to the 1 chord. Okay, now for the sake of a little bit of speed, I'm going to play the 9th measure and 10th measure and 11th measure and 12th measure, those 4 measures. I'm going to play those, and that's going to be on the 9th measure, it's going to be the 5 chord, the B7. On the 10th measure, it's going to be the 4 chord, it's going to be the A. And on the 11th measure and the 12th measure, it's going to be the 1 chord. All right, so now this is where I could have started if I was an impatient guy, but I love teaching the guitar, and I also, one of the most gratifying things for me is that if I only give you one lesson, it sticks with you for the rest of your life because it wasn't confusing to you, okay? So now I'm going to slowly play rhythm guitar here, and I'm going to change the chords. And I'm going to count them out, and I'm going to go through all 12 bars, okay? E to A, and back to E, then B7, and then A, and then E. Here I go. It's hard for me to say change to B7, so when I say change, I'll try to say that, but I might say change to the 5, but hopefully you all understand what the 5 chord is in this situation. The 5 chord is the dominant, also known as the dominant in any key that you play in, and so I'll do my best to spoon feed this to you, okay? 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, change to the 4, A, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, change back to the 1, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, change to the 5, 9, 3, 4, 10, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if you don't have your guitar in your lap, I suggest you do, because, well, I want to do it. Let's do it together, all right? I'm purposely playing this slow blues. Now, if you think that what I was just doing is maybe boring or repetitive, well, the most elemental thing to the most advanced thing I call on when I'm playing in front of an audience or when I play in front of a band with a band. And the reason why I tell you that is because most blues music uses this formula. So if you're playing in a band and you have to play 2 hours, let's say 2 sets, an hour each, and almost everything you do is going to be either fast, medium, or slow tempo blues, and almost all the songs are 12-bar blues. If you do the same thing on every song, regardless of whether it's fast, slow, or medium, it gets boring after a while. So that's why we're here, is to learn variations in rhythm, but also to not forget that the most basic first thing that I teach you, this just downstroking like this, I use that sometimes when I play behind people for variety, because maybe I just played something very advanced in a 12-bar blues accompaniment on the previous song, and now I'm going to do another 12-bar blues song, and the audience can get bored hearing the same thing all the time, so I just played, maybe previously in the previous song, I just played something that was much more technical and much more advanced in terms of its accompaniment. But now on the next 12-bar blues song, because that's what blues is about, that's how people recognize blues, by the formula that I just showed you and some other little techniques that you recognize right away, like the turnaround, this. You hear that at the beginning of a song, and almost anybody would go, oh, it's going to be a blues song. All right, so if your guitar is in your lap, and I hope it is, we're in the key of E, and I'm going to count in 1, 2, 3, go, like that, and then we're going to play through the chords very slowly, and then I'm going to do it again a little bit just a little bit faster, and then we'll look at the accompaniment sound. But the first, most important thing that you need to know is A, solid rhythm, keeping solid time, and the best way to keep solid time when you're just learning is to play very slowly, okay? And the second thing that you need to do is be accurate with your chord changes. If you can't make the chord change in time when you practice on your own, slow down until you can do it. You can always build up your speed after you get it right. Okay? I'm going to say this over and over again before before the day is over, I know, in all three of the events. You guys that watch my lessons online, I always say crawl before you walk and walk before you run. The great jazz guitar player Howard Roberts, the late great Howard Roberts, used to say this to his students. I'll say it really slowly. The tempo at which to execute something on the guitar is the speed at which you can do it perfectly, even if that tempo is one notch above a dead stop. In that way, you're actually doing something. You're playing music rather than doing nothing. Do you understand? If you practice this chord changes and you're going like this, you're playing too fast for yourself. That's not music. It has to flow. So slow it down. You know, there's blues songs that go. So crawl before you walk before you run. If you can't make the change to the chord in the flow of the tempo that you're playing it, then you're playing too fast. You're rushing yourself. Slow down. Make it musical the whole time. Your practicing should be musical. And the other way, before I have you play along with me on the Slow Blues 12 bar, I want you to know that the other means of practicing by isolating and not using a rhythm, which is an excellent way to practice, is you say to yourself, okay, Hawkeye says that I go from the E chord to the A chord. So what you should do is just practice doing this. Maybe with no tempo. Until you get that. Changing from the one to the 4 chord, the E to the A chord. And notice that I'm going back. I'm playing the 1 chord, E, and then I'm playing the 4 chord, A, and then I'm going back to the 1 chord, E. Now, I think I'm feeling pretty good about that. I could pick up the tempo. And now you need to practice going from in the key of E. If you're in the key of E, you're going to have to practice playing from the 1 chord to the 5 chord. So you would practice this, isolated, even without tempo. Okay, it's okay because what you're practicing in this sense is isolating the chord change, and you're not worried about tempo. You're trying to muscle memory. You're trying to teach your fingers to go from this chord to that chord. So I need to go from the 1 chord, the E, to the B7 chord, the 5. That's going to happen in the song, so I'm isolating it so I can work on it. And so I go like this. It would be terrible to do this. No, that's not music. And so isolate it. Don't make it musical for now. Practice the chord going back and forth so that your fingers can learn how to do that, and then add a very slow tempo and then try it in tempo, because you might be unfamiliar with going from an E chord to a B7 chord. Okay, and I'm assuming you know all 4 of the chords. The only 3 of the chords that I'm showing you. The only other thing that I want to point out to you that I just thought of is, some of you probably noticed that in my left hand fretting right now that I'm playing an A chord, but it might not look like an A chord to you because you do an A chord like this. That's okay. But do you see how my fingers are at an angle in between the strings there, in between the 5th and the 1st string? I have to put my fingers at an angle. That's because Hawkeye has big hands. My fingers aren't real fat, but my fingers are very long. I guess maybe I was born to be a guitar player. But that means that what you guys might do and do it like this as an A chord, I can't get my fingers in there. And I'd have to put them at an angle, and if you want to do that, you can if you have big fingers like me. But I've been playing the guitar for 57 years, and when I was a kid, my hands were a lot smaller. But as I grew and got to an adult size that I am now, and now shrinking, I learned how to play an A chord by taking my 3rd finger and using almost the whole fleshy part of the last knuckle here the last tip of my finger, and I can put that across all three of those strings. So I just wanted to clarify that I'm playing a first position A chord a little bit different than you might play it, right? Okay, but that's okay. Don't try to play it like me. The proper way to play a first position A chord is with all three fingers. But the neck of my guitar would have to be much wider and the strings further apart in order for me to squeeze my fingers in there. Okay. And as that reminds me, because we're going to do question and answers and comments at the end of this event. If something comes up that you have I hope you maybe have a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen out with your or have your notepad out or something like that. If something comes up in the course of this, jot down your question quickly so that you don't forget. Gosh, this was going to be almost 2 hours long, and so you might forget by the second hour. Oh, I had a question I wanted to ask Hawkeye, and so I'm trying to anticipate what your questions are, and that was one of them. Hey, Hawkeye, your A chord isn't the same as my A chord. Yes, it is. I'm just not doing it with three fingers. Okay, I remember where I was. I was going to have you play the guitar along with me in a slow blues, doing 12 bars, and I was going to count it for you, all right? So here we go. Got your guitar out. It's in your lap. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, go, and then I'll give you the changes. Here we go. And rather than say change, I think what I'll do to help you a little bit, because I don't have enough time to say change to the 4 chord or change to the A. On the last beat before the change, I'll call out the next chord. All right? And hopefully I'm playing slow enough for you to be able to go, oh, okay, I'm ready. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, A. 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, E. 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, B7. 9, 2, 3, 4, A. 10, 2, 3, 4, 11, 2, 3, 4, 12, 2, 3, 4. I apologize. On measure number 10, when I got to the fourth beat, I didn't say, well, I think it was on measure number, I think on measure number 9, I didn't say A, or one of those on the fourth beat, I didn't call out the change. So I'm not going to go all the way back and do it, because what I'm going to do now is speed it. I think I'm going to do the same thing. I think it would be best. There's nothing like repetition. You know, if you have to repeat things 5 times before you get it, that's great. That's okay. If you have to repeat things 1,000,000 times before you get it, it doesn't matter. You know why I say that? Some people get frustrated with the guitar because they have to repeat things so many times and they might not still get it. If you can play something on the first time, right away, if you heard it on the radio, or if you heard it on an MP3 or whatever, on a CD, and you can play it right away, you're a genius. Oh, I can play that, and you play it right away, okay, with no mistakes. That borders on genius. The separation between a genius and the rest of us is, if you have to do it 2 times, repeat it 2 times, or 2,000,000 times, you're not a genius. You're with the rest of us. So, you understand my point? The number of times you have to repeat something in order to get it right is inconsequential, whether it's 2 or 2,000,000 times. The idea is to have fun in the process and enjoy what you're doing, and don't be frustrated. You know, I used to get frustrated with playing the guitar, and then all of a sudden I realized that this instrument is my second best friend. My wife is my first best friend. Maybe you have a really great best friend, a human being. This is my best friend other than a human being. That is my wife. And the reason why I say that is because I honestly feel that beyond my guitars being an investment, I honestly feel that my guitar is waiting for me in the corner. And believe me, my guitars at home sit out, either hung on the wall or in a guitar stand. I have many guitars, and I try to keep as many of them out and available to me all the time. If you have little kids running around the house, or teenagers, or people that you might not trust that might kick over your guitar or something like that, well, then the best thing to do is maybe hang it on the wall. That sometimes that can help age your guitar as well. But the last thing I want to do is put my guitar in the case and put it in the closet. Okay, because that means that every time I feel like playing, I have to go in the closet, take out the case, take out the guitar, and then when I'm done, I have to put it away. No. An artist, that's why artists have studios. The reason why artists have studios is because they can walk in and everything's there that they need. Their paints are all out. The canvas is all out. Imagine what it's like if you're a painting graphic artist, to every time you're moved to pick up your paintbrush or ink pen, that you have to go take every piece of equipment out and then put it away afterwards. Possibly, sometimes you have to do that because you might be living in an efficiency apartment, and that's the way it is. But if you can set up a corner of your apartment and you're an artist and all of your tools are out there, that means that you can get up in the middle of the night, and if you don't go to Jam Play and turn on Jam Play and watch Hawkeye give lessons in the middle of the night if you can't sleep, you can go and sit in the corner and play your guitar. It's out. And back to my original point. Even though my wife is my best friend, she's not always waiting for me. Okay? She has a life of her own. Okay? So what I'm saying is, my guitar doesn't have a life of its own. It's my best friend, and it's always waiting for me to pick it up. And I don't have anything other in life, sadly to say, that's waiting for me like that. And so what I'm telling you now is, if you can find a spot that's safe to keep your guitar out so that whenever you feel like it, did you know that you improve on the guitar even if you only play for 3 minutes? Every time you repeat something, it improves your playing. Sometimes it's so incremental that you don't even think that it is. You don't even think that you've improved. And other times it's a big leap and bound for you. So what I'm saying is that every repetition counts, whether you play the guitar for 10 minutes a day or 2 hours a day, or only pick it up for 3 minutes while you're waiting for the coffee to perk. That is valuable time spent on the guitar. So I'm saying, again, my guitar is always my best friend, and it's always waiting for me. It has no life on its own. It only has life when I pick it up. And when I pick it up, whether it's for 45 seconds and noodle around, or 45 minutes, I improve. Because that's part of muscle memory, repetition. I started this thought by telling you about repetition. Crawl before you walk before you run, and don't worry about how many times you have to do something. Okay? I have one more point about that I want to give you before, and I think they're all valuable. I'm not just making conversation. When you see me do something, you don't see the practice I put in. You don't see the repetitions. When you listen to somebody like Eric Clapton or the late B.B. King, may he rest in peace, you don't see the time you don't see Jimmy Page. You hear him play, or Clapton or BB or any guitar player that you listen to. What you're hearing is the result of their practice. You don't see Jimmy Page in an interview. I'd like to do an interview with Jimmy Page and say to him, "How long did it take you to get this?" And make it come out like a machine gun. And you might be surprised. You might think Jimmy Page is a genius, and he might say, I sat on the end of my bed with my guitar, and I did that same lick for 3 days for 2 hours each day. Well, you don't see that when you watch him on a video. You don't hear that when you listen to Eric Clapton on a recording. All you are witness to is the result. You don't see how many paintings of renderings of something that Picasso threw away before he said, "Okay, this is the one that's a good one." All right, I can't stress this enough because I know how people get frustrated. Oh, I'm not a born guitar player. You know what? It's a learned skill. I don't like it when people say I can't sing. No one is born singing. Maybe Aretha Franklin was born singing. I'm not sure, but Eric Clapton wasn't born playing the guitar. He had to learn how to play the guitar, and he has to repeat things. Sometimes maybe he has to repeat the same little lick 150 times for 3.5 hours before he gets it right. Same thing with singing. There are people that say, oh, I can't sing. My mom told me I can't sing. My chorus director in church said that I should stand in the back of the chorus on the highest riser and just mouth the words because I can't sing. That's not nurturing. Singing, no one is born playing the guitar, and no one is born singing. Singing is a learned skill. Yes, there are people that have more natural ability than others. But that doesn't mean that somebody who can't sing and sings flat or with a bad voice can't learn how to do it. The vocal cords, just like your fingers, are muscles. And we're talking about muscle memory. Okay? The reason why I go off on this with you so far like this is because I've been teaching a long time, and I've seen the frustration that people have, and one of the things that I have to tell them is that, hey, you come here for a lesson and you watch me do things fairly perfectly, and you're thinking to yourself, oh gosh, I'm not Hawkeye. Well, what you don't see is that when I'm not there, I sit and watch TV with a 3/4 guitar with gut strings on it so that I can watch TV and finger the strings at the same time and have it comfortable in my lap. I don't have to worry about. I can sit back on a couch and have the guitar in my lap and have my fingers on the fingerboard, and it's soft, playing softly while I'm listening. And I even try to play along with commercials in between. What key are they in? And I play along to keep myself busy. Okay, so here we go. Slowly, I'm going to play the chords. I'm going to count the measures for you. I might say change. You should know that we're going to go 1, 4, 1, 5, 4, 1. E, A, E, B7, A, E. Are you ready? I was born ready. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, change. 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7. Change 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, change. 9, 2, 3, change. 10, 2, 3, change. 11, 2, 3, 4. 12, 2, 3. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Change. 5, 2, 3, 4. 6, 2, 3. Change. 7, 2, 3, 4. 8, 2, 3. Change. 9, 2, 3. Change. 10, 2, 3. Change. 11, 2, 3. 2, 3. Stop. That's what you need to practice if you're a beginning blues guitar player. You need to practice the chord changes. All right? You need to practice the chord changes. Now, I think we should do this in another key because you need to improve your muscle memory. Okay? And I'm not going to pick up the tempo yet. I just want to show you how we adapt this. And I have supplemental material. Remember what I said about my website, HawkeyeHerman.com. Of course, you can listen to MP3s. I really encourage you to go to my videos. You go to my website, and there's a nav bars on the left-hand side of my website, HawkeyeHerman.com, and you'll see that it says videos. You go to my video channel at YouTube, and there's probably 20 or 25 videos of me performing blues in concert. Play along with me. Find the key that I'm in and play along with me. Listen to what I do and then try to play along with me, because all of the techniques that I share with people in more than 150 lessons, and now we filmed even more, there's a lot more lessons of mine in the can that are online. All of that information I call on when I'm playing live. So the best way to see how that's utilized in a live performance is to go to my website, go to videos, and pick a video and watch it, maybe a slow blues like a Robert Johnson tune that I might do, and try to watch it and then try to play along with me and make the chord changes. Even try to steal my licks if you're a little bit more advanced guitar player, because you can use me as a metronome. It's okay. I encourage you to do so. And also, it's far less boring if you're playing along with a record. If you have a recording, if you have an album by B.B. King or Eric Clapton, Unplugged or whatever, Cream, whatever you like to listen to, try to play along. Pick the slow blues in the beginning and try and find the key that they're in and play along. I encourage you to do that. And I started out by saying on the guitar lessons page of my website, you'll scroll down and you'll see that there's some PDFs that you can download regarding blues changes and lots of other things. Okay, so we're going to play slow blues in G this time. So the first thing we got to know is everything's the same in terms of the chord changes. What I mean is 1, 4, 1, 5, 4, 1. And we're going to play slow blues, but it's going to be in the key of G, because I want to show you how this works in at least one more key after this. Okay? So, we're in the key of G, and I know that the tonic chord, the 1 chord, is G. That's number 1, key chord number 1. So I'm going to go G. I'm not going to go G, A, B, C. I'm going to go G is number 1. G, A, B, C is number 4. 1, 4, 5. The 5 is G, A, B, C is 4, and D is 5. And we're going to I like to make the 5 chord a 7th chord. I think it sounds best. And so that means that the 3 chords that we use for 12-bar blues in the key of G is G, C, and D7. Okay? Let's do it. Oh, you want me to do it? Okay, I'll do it on my own, and I'll do it rapidly so that you can see how the chord changes work. And then I'm going to go back, and we're all going to play the 12-bar blues chord changes in the key of G. You know, I know this right hand strumming down might seem boring to you right now, but what we're doing is we're trying to learn the 1, 4, 5 chords and get it into our head and then into our gut and muscle memory so that we can make those changes automatically. And the best way to do that is play as simply with your right hand as possible. And this downward strum can be used, because you're going to back me up on a song in a few minutes, and we're going to use this downstroke, just 1, 2, 3, 4, because I want you to see that this is not just totally beginner stuff. Yes, it's a beginner lesson, but that doesn't mean that somebody like B.B. King or Eric Clapton or Jimmy Page or Buddy Guy or Keb Mo or anybody that you know that plays blues music doesn't necessarily play a song and sing a song that they strum down the whole time. All right, here we go. In the key of G, I'm going to do it quickly for you, and then I'm going to go back and play it slowly so that you can make the changes with me. My purpose here is to show you that we can play 12-bar blues in any key that we want, and the reason why we need to play it in any key that we want is that if you want to play with other people, somebody might be a singer, there might be a gal present at a party or something like that, and she says, I want to sing a blues. I want to sing Stormy Monday. Can you do it in the key of A? And you look at her and say, oh, gosh, I can't play blues in A, but can you sing it in E? And she's going to say, no. And the reason why is she's the singer, usually. She or he that's the singer, that's their key. They're the boss. It's your job as an accompanist to play in their key. So that's why I'm showing you how to transpose 12-bar blues into every key so that you can have fun with other people. You know, you might have a friend who doesn't play as well as you do, but they can play 12-bar blues in the key of D. And you don't want to be able to say to them, oh, gosh, is that the only key that you can play 12-bar blues in? And they might say, yeah, I'm not as accomplished as you. And so maybe that's when you have to say, okay, go ahead, I'll play with you. And you figure it out quickly 1, 4, 5, and we'll talk about, and we'll do that, what the three chords are in the key of D. Here I am in the key of G. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, C. 1, 3, 4. 6, 2, 3, change. 7, 2, 3, 4. 8, 2, 3, change. 9, 2, 3, 4. 10, 2, 3, 4. 11, 2, 3, 4. 12, 2, 3, 4. 12 bar blues in the key of G. I'm going to save time, I'm going to do it now. I'll do it in the key of D because I can do it quickly. And my job right now here is to show you that this is the truth. I'm not lying. You can do this in every key, and I need to prove it to you because otherwise people walk away and I don't know about that. I'm not sure, you know. And one of the nicest comments that I've gotten on and I encourage you to go to Ask a Teacher under the Lessons on Jam Play in the comments area. But one of the most recent comments that I got was somebody asked me a question, and when I answered them, but not very technically, I tried to answer it as clearly as I could to them. That person responded to my response by saying, well, Hawkeye, I don't understand really, but I'll take your word for it. Okay, so please, this is all I do. I haven't had to do anything but play the guitar in various genres of music since 1975. I started playing the guitar when I was 13, and I became a full-time, totally professional musician. Even though I was playing professionally before that, I was also working at day jobs. But in 1975, I started playing the guitar professionally, full-time, always, doing any kind of music. Jazz, klezmer, country, blues. I loved blues the best, but I was going to be a professional musician full-time, and that meant that I wasn't going to say to somebody, oh, I can't take that gig, I play blues. If somebody asked me to be in a band and they played klezmer music, I'd say, okay, how many nights a week are we going to work to expand my playing? Okay. I'm going to do this one more time, and I want you to play with me in G, and then we're going to take some questions, okay? One time through with me, real slowly. Are you ready? Here we go. In the key of G, we're going to play G, C, G, D, 7, C, and G. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, change. 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, 4, 9, 2, 3, 4, 10, 2, 3, 4, 11, 2, 3, 4, 12, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I did that as an example. I did it at a little bit faster tempo, and one of the reasons is because I want to take some questions from you guys right now. So if anybody has any questions, fire them off to me, and I'm ready. Questions or comments, okay? And and if there's a direction that you or a specific question about rhythm guitar, we're not talking about lead. That's going to be in the next event. That's going to come about an hour after this event, and I'm really looking forward to that because lead is what people generally always want to play. But believe me, there is no blues without rhythm. There is no music without rhythm. There is no country music without rhythm. So if you've got questions, fire them off to me, and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you have any requests, we're going to field those requests. But the requests can't be for specific songs, and the reason why that is because it's got to do with mechanical and publishing rights. Any song that's copywritten and published, then we have to pay a fee, and it's expensive. All right, and so I would love to be able to say, yes, I can show you how to play Cocaine. Yes, I can show you how to play Pride and Joy by Stevie Ray Vaughan. I could, but we have to pay a fortune in fees for that. And so I can't take I have to keep the songs that I sing in public domain. Okay? So that's why I can't take requests for specific songs, because there are publishing rights that have to be paid for every one of them, and it would cost Jam Play a fortune to do that. Okay. On the other hand, you can always send me a message through the Jam Play website, either a comment or a question that might say, Hawkeye, how do you play this or that? And I can answer the question through the website. I prefer to do that rather than by email. Okay. Email is more for me, more for business and cordiality. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, fire them off to me, and what I'm going to do is play slow blues in the background. Yeah, we got a question?
Yeah, Hawkeye, we have a question here from Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron has asked, what bars are the changes made on? He wanted just some clarification on that.
Okay, Aaron. I'm sorry that there's not a graphic up for you to look at, but at the very beginning I said to you that the change happens on the 5th measure, the 8th measure, and the 9th measure. Okay, listen. The 1 chord is played for the first 4 measures. At the 5th measure, you change to the 4 chord. Got it? You play the 4 chord, the A chord, on measure 5 and measure 6. Measure 7, you need to go back to the 1 chord, and you play measure 7 and 8 using the 1 chord, the E. On the 9th measure, you're going to change to the 5 chord. In this case, in the key of E, that would be B7. Okay? Now you got to make a quick change here because you're only going to play the 9th measure is going to be the 5 chord, and the 10th measure you're going to be going to the 4 chord, the A. So you on 9 you're going to be playing B7, and on 10 you're going to be playing A. And now on 11, you're going to change back to the 1, the E chord, and you're going to play that on both measures 11 and 12. Okay? So, shorthand, Aaron, and thanks for asking your question. I really appreciate it. In a shorthand way of looking at this, what I'm saying is that you play the 1 chord for the first 4 measures. On the 5th measure, you're going to play the 4 chord, the A, and you're going to play that on measures 5 and 6. And then on the 7th measure, you're going to change back to the 1 and play that for 2 measures, 7 and 8. 9th measure, 5 chord, the B7. 10th measure, the 4 chord, A. And on 11 and 12, you're going to play the 1 chord. Now, since Aaron asked that question, I want you to know that if I was singing a song, I probably, on measure number 12, would want to play the 5 chord again. And the reason why is because it adds variety to the song. Listen, like this. I'm going to be playing from the Aaron, I'll play that and I'll count it for you, and I want you to see what I'm talking about. I'm going to play on the 12th measure, I'm going to play the B7 chord again because I want to start the song over again. I want to start at measure 1 again, and if I play the E chord for 2 measures, that can get boring after a while on measures 11 and 12. So here, I'm going to do it quickly because I know probably there are a lot of other people that have questions and comments. So I think it's clear. And Aaron, if this isn't clear, please shoot me off a message and let me know what you don't understand, because that's why I'm here doing this live. You know, I was asked a long time ago to do live lessons by Jam Play maybe once a week or something like that, but my touring schedule just won't allow it. I can't say that I'll be online every Tuesday at 9 o'clock or something like that. And so this is your opportunity, Aaron, and everyone else. This is your opportunity to interact with me live. So here we go, Aaron, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the 5 chord on the 12th measure so that you can hear the difference. Here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, change. 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, change. 7, 2, 3, 8, 2, 3, change. 9, 2, 3, change. 10, 2, 3, change. 11, 2, 3, change. 12, 2, 3, change. See how I put that B7 in there at the end? And the reason why is if I was singing a song, I would go, doing all right. I'm at measure number 9 now. I'm on the 5 chord. Doing all right. Good morning. How are you? 12. Good morning, blues. You see how that 5 chord adds some variety and makes it lean in a little bit different way? So initially what you want to do is you want to play it the way I described it on the on 11 measure 11 and 12. Play your it's okay to play your 1 chord until you get used to things. And then after a while you should add some variety to your playing by playing on the 5 chord on measure number 12. How are we doing for questions? We got anything else coming in?
Yeah, Hawkeye, we have another question here.
Good.
This one is from Bobby.
Okay, Bobby.
And Bobby asks, are short, focused practice sessions that are around 15 minutes in length, are those better than a longer practice session?
The question is, I'm sorry, I forgot, I didn't repeat the question. You all can't hear it. Repeat the question for me, please, Chris Smith. Real quickly, and so that I can repeat it for everybody.
The question is, are short, focused practice sessions
that
are around 15 minutes
that
in
are
length
around 15
better
minutes
than
in
longer
length,
practice sessions?
better than longer practice sessions. Oh, okay. Thanks. The answer, Bobby, that's a good question, and relating to what I said before, regardless of how long you pick up the guitar, even if it's only for 3 minutes, I know this is hard to accept, but the truth is that if you only practice for 5 minutes, it's valuable because you're training your muscles to do something. And I, as a teacher, could watch you practice for 5 minutes, and then the next day watch you practice for 5 minutes, and I can see the incremental. I can see the incremental improvement in your playing that you don't see. You're frustrated, might be frustrated as a beginner and don't feel that you're getting it. But believe me, and I'm trying to answer your question quite honestly, believe me, even a 5-minute practice session is good. Now, more specifically regarding your question, people frequently ask me how to practice. The best way to practice, I think, is to set aside a certain amount of time each day that you can spend with your best friend. Okay? And if you can't do it every day and you've got a day job and you come home and you got kids in the house or whatever, and it's just not convenient, well then try to set aside a time late at night after the kids are in bed that you can play quietly. And now the question was, are short 15-minute sessions better than longer ones? That's a real hard question for me to answer, Bobby, because I used to play the guitar when I was 14 years old. I would come home from school when I was in 7th and 8th grade, and I would play the guitar at home from 3:30 until my mom called me down to dinner at 6 o'clock. So you're asking somebody who is passionate. That's why you guys are here. I think one of the things that people mention to me the most is that I seem to be really good-natured, which I am, and that I'm also really passionate about music. I'm passionate about the blues, and I'm passionate about music. And so I used to practice when I was a teenager. I was a teenage boy. I was insecure. I wasn't particularly good at dating and talking to girls. And so, yes, I locked myself in my room, and I would play for 2 or 3 hours. And when I came down to dinner, and I'm answering your question, Bobby, but I can only answer your question in the context of who I am and what I'm doing. So this is an example. Excellent question. I would come home from school and I would play the guitar for usually country folk music, Woody Guthrie type stuff, because I'm an old guy and I came up during the folk scare, when the Kingston Trio and Peter, Paul and Mary and all that music was popular. And so I call it the folk scare, thanks to Martin Mull for that little phrase. At any rate, I'd be playing the guitar from 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, 2.5 hours. And I would play the same song for 2.5 hours. And when I came down to dinner, my mom would say to me, I remember her saying, Michael, I wasn't yet Hawkeye, she said, Michael, you've been playing the same song for 2.5 hours. Are you trying to torture us? And she was good-natured about it. And you know what my response was to her? I said, Mom, I didn't get it right until 10 minutes ago. And later on, when I was an adult musician, my mom reminded me of that, and she never responded to me at that time, but she said that when I was 13 or 14 years old and that she called me down to dinner and that I had been playing the same song, Jesse James was a lad who killed many a man, a traditional country song, over and over and over again until I got it right. She said, I had a feeling when you told me that you were playing the same song over and over again for 2.5 hours and that you didn't get it right until the last 10 minutes before I called you down to dinner. She said, I had a feeling then that you were probably going to be a professional musician because you were so passionate about getting it right. Okay? Now, Bobby, this has to do with that question. If the song Jesse James, which is a traditional song in public domain, and it's not a blues song, it's a folk song, that song has about 10 choruses. And if I was singing and strumming and playing that song and I was doing it perfectly, and then it measured on the 7th chorus, I made a mistake, I would stop. I'm telling you how to practice. I would stop and I would isolate that mistake and get it right. Let's say I wasn't making the change from the E chord to the A chord right. And so I would isolate it and go until I felt comfortable with the chord change and getting it right. Now, I didn't start playing again at measure number 7. I went all the way back to the first verse. I didn't know it when I was 13 years old, but what I felt in my heart was that we used to have hootenannies and sing around the fire and stuff like that, and on the bus, and I became a little bit popular because I could strum and play the guitar. And the reason why I went all the way back to the first chorus, I didn't go back to the beginning of the 7th chorus and start from there to play to chorus number 10. I went all the way back to the beginning. And the reason why was because I already knew at age 13 that if you want to play a song, you have to play it right all the way through. So I needed to be able to get to play it right all the way through. And I had been playing that song over and over and over again, and it just so happened that on that particular day, 10 minutes before my mom called me down to dinner, I did all 10 choruses and played the strumming and the chord changing right, with no frustration. So what? This is what I'm doing. I'm not going. I didn't have a job, and I wanted to play the guitar. So 15-minute sessions are excellent. If you can play for longer, if you can practice for longer, that's great. You shouldn't practice so long that you have to build up calluses on your fingers. That's the most frustrating thing about playing the guitar, is the time it takes to build up the calluses so that your fingers don't hurt. So if you look at your fingers and you see that the ends of your fingers are getting red, yes, if you're playing a steel string guitar, there's going to be impressions in your fingers like that. But what you don't see is my fingers look pretty normal on my left hand, but what you don't see is that the tips of all of my fingers are heavily calloused. As a matter of fact, I won't do it, but I can pinch the end of my fingers, and there you might be able to see that there's a point because it's calloused. I just put a point there because this is all calloused material now. Okay, so we got another question. Practice for as long as you can and don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, Hawkeye, our next question, this is from Aaron again.
Okay.
And the question is, can I use a 12-bar idea or the 12-bar format in other styles of music?
Everyone heard that question? Blues, Aaron, is the roots, and everything else is the fruits. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying we would have no rock and roll if it wasn't for blues. Okay, so almost all of Chuck Berry's music is 12-bar blues. It's just that instead of playing this, he's playing this. So a huge portion of country music is 12-bar blues. All of the music, the first person inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame was a guy named Jimmie Rodgers. He wrote 500 songs, and 300 of them are considered country songs, and almost every one of them is a 12-bar blues. Did you ever hear of the second most famous country artist, Hank Williams? Hank Williams learned to play 12-bar blues from a guy named T-Tot in his hometown of Montgomery, Alabama, and he learned 12-bar blues first. And most of the songs that you know or might be familiar with by Hank Williams are 12-bar blues. You just don't recognize them as 12-bar blues. I could name those songs. Mind Your Own Business, okay? Come in last. There's another one by Hank Williams, Move It On Over, that was done by George Thorogood. That's a 12-bar blues, okay? Almost all of the rock and roll of John Mayall and Eric Clapton and a lot of those songs, it's because they've changed the rhythm that it sounds different to you. But believe me, I'm trying to answer your question as best as I can. Blues is the roots and everything else is the fruits. We would not have rock and roll if it wasn't for blues music. Okay, so I can't sing and play a rock and roll song for you here to give you an example. But watch this, Aaron. Watch this. I'm gonna explain it to you in song because I've been in more than 500 schools to 500,000 kids in 30 states and 10 foreign countries, explaining to people everywhere around the world that blues is the roots and everything else is the fruits. Like this. The blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. I said the blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. Good question. Makes me feel good from my head down to my toes. That's a song that I teach students all the way from the elementary level to the college level. Now I'm going to change that to rock and roll by playing a Chuck Berry lick on the bottom, and it's still 12-bar blues, and I'm going to do it in the key of A. Okay, this is 12-bar blues. The blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. I said the blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. It makes me feel good from my head down to my toes. Okay? Good question, Aaron. Good question. The blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. Jimmie Rodgers, the founder of country music, he's called the father of country music. He was the first person inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. He wrote 300 blues songs and he learned to play 12-bar blues from African-American railroad workers when he was working as a brakeman on the railroad. And he took that and he changed just a little bit. He changed one little thing. He added the yodel at the end of each verse. And that's what that little twist was so different that made him the founder and most famous beginning country music artist. Same thing in rock and roll. I just played a Chuck Berry rock and roll tune for you in the rhythm, and it was 12-bar blues. Good question, Aaron, and I'm glad you asked it because I'm going to talk about that in the next session as well. Got any other questions?
Yeah, we got another one here, Hawkeye. This one is from Paul.
Okay, Paul.
And Paul asks, why do you use a thumb pick?
Good question, Paul. The reason why I use a thumb pick is because I play a steel string guitar. And if I just use my thumb, I'm a professional musician. I have to play I don't play in bars anymore. I do concerts and festivals. But for the first 25 years of my life, I played 6 and 7 nights a week for 3 and 4 hours a night. And not on an electric guitar. I always plugged in on an acoustic guitar. So if I didn't play with a pick, whether flat pick or thumb pick, first of all, my thumb would get a huge blister on it. And it does from playing without a pick quietly in my house, has callus on it, okay? But I play with a thumb pick for 2 reasons. I like to finger pick, okay? So when I play with this is a blue Herco nylon thumb pick, all right? And I give these away at my workshop because your question is so common, all right? I buy them by the hundreds, and I give them away at my workshop. So that, not because I necessarily encourage people to play with this particular brand, but I like this brand because it's not plastic, it's nylon. That means that if I put it on and it's too tight, I can open it up. I can put it under the faucet, run some warm water, and loosen it up, and it'll loosen up. Plastic thumb picks you can't do that with. And if it's not tight enough, I can squeeze it like this especially under warm water, and when I then run it under cold water, and it'll set there, and now it's much tighter. So the reason, I'm trying to specifically answer your question. The reason why I don't use a flat pick when I play is because when you use a flat pick, you have to hold it like this, and it ties up your fingers. And I like to be able to use my fingers to pick whenever I want. And I'm not telling you that you have to do this. If you want to play with your thumb, you can. If you want to play with a flat pick, that's fine. But I play with a thumb pick so that I could be doing something like this and then go and have my hands free and the pick stays there. And you can see that I push it on my thumb up to the cuticle. And the reason why I did a quick commercial for the Herco blue nylon thumb pick is not because I sell them. I buy them by the hundreds and then I give them away. The reason why is because a famous guitar picker named Doc Watson gave me one of these 40 years ago. Okay, I went to see him in a concert, and I sat right down front 2 times, 6 months apart. And afterwards, I got to talk to him. And he was a blind player. If you don't know who Doc Watson is, you got to go watch him. He's one of the most amazing guitar pickers of all time. And I asked him about his pick, and he said, "Hold out your hand." And I held out my hand, and he took his hand so that he could find my hand because he was blind, right? And he dropped one of these into my hand, and he said, "Try this." And I had been using a plastic thumb pick that was clunky, man. You go to the guitar store and you look at thumb picks, and most of them are really thick, white or colored, thick pieces of plastic, and they can break and they feel terrible on your thumb, and they're hard to get used to. But this nylon thing is strong, it's light, and after playing with it for only about an hour, all of a sudden it felt like an extension of my thumb. So I use the thumb pick for 2 reasons. 1, to protect my thumb. 3 reasons. To protect my thumb from getting a blister and getting injured, and then what am I going to do? Wrap a Band-Aid around my thumb? Then you try to play the guitar with a Band-Aid on your thumb. The strings are going to eat that Band-Aid up, and you're going to get gunky stuff all over your strings. So you got to protect your thumb. So 1, for protection of my thumb, right? 2, to project louder. Listen, if I play this little lick like this with my thumb, it's soft. But if I put my thumb pick on and do the exact same thing with the exact same pressure, it's louder. All right, so there's 2 reasons. 1, to protect my thumb. 2, to project louder. And the 3rd reason was what I already told you, is so that my fingers are free. Because I like to finger pick too. You might not like to do that. Now, I'm going to qualify that one more time by explaining to you. Is this Aaron's question, I think? I'm not sure. But I've been a professional musician for a long time, and so I have to worry about protecting my hands and not injuring myself and getting a blister or whatever, because I might have to play the next night for another 3 hours. So if you don't put in the intensive time that I put in playing the guitar, you might say to yourself, "I don't need to play with a pick." You can play the electric guitar without a pick. You can play the acoustic guitar without a pick. But the other thing that a pick allows you to do is it does allow you to play faster, because you can pick up and down like this with a pick, and with a thumb, that's hard to do. Okay, moving on.
All right, we got one here. Great question from Casey here.
Casey.
I've always had trouble with palm muting. What advice can you give on that?
Okay, you all heard Casey's question, and it's a good one, and I'm glad you guys are asking questions, because if I could sit here and do this for you all day for 3 days, I would do it. That's how much I love this, and I'm aware of my mortality. You know, B.B. King just passed away, and I knew B.B. King and performed with him. He wasn't a friend of mine, but what I want you to know is that I'm an old guy now, and I'm aware of my mortality, and I want you to take everything that I give you and share it with others. So the ideas and the questions that you come up with are very important to me, because it gives me a chance to cover stuff that I might not think of. So the question was about muting. Here's how I mute. You know, a lot of people say that a lot of people like to mute by, let's say I'm playing at the 2nd fret with my 2nd finger and I play this B note. Now I can mute it by softening my touch. But the way I mute is I use this part of my hand, the heel of my hand, and I rest it on the right in front of the bridge. Okay? And now, You might think that this is not hard for me at all, and you should be able to get used to it. The reason why I do that is I want you to know that even if I press really hard and mute, it's still music, and it still sounds good. Listen to my guitar being played wide open. That doesn't sound good to me, and the reason why is because the minute I do this, and then I strum again, listen how long that's ringing. It still hasn't gone away. So if I do this, the first strum is ringing in the box. And then I strum again, and now I've strummed once and then again, and now every time I strum, I'm making mud. The sound gets muddy. And it would be like my talking to you like this, and that's how we being able to enunciate. Did you see? You understand what I mean? I want to be able to separate the sounds. Boom, 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 boom. So the way I mute is like this. You see how it's cut off? It's not going. I mute almost all the time, Casey, and I do it by resting the heel of my palm in front of the bridge. Left-handed or right-hand, whichever way. And one of the things that I want you to know, Casey and everyone else, is this time when I strum down, I'm going to really push hard. You know, my palm, the heel of my palm is just resting there right now. But what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to push down really hard and try to mute as much as I can. But yet, all that does is just give me a different sound on the guitar. It's still going to make music. Listen. Now I'm going to relax it a little bit. You see how it's changing? And now I'm going to open it up. Now I'm going to go back down, just rest it on there. Now I'm going to push hard. Actually, if you push hard, your guitar almost takes on a snare drum type sound, but a lyrical and musical snare drum sound. A drum just goes boom, 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 and even a drum has a mute underneath it. You know, a snare drum has a knob on it so that you can mute the snare. All right, so I'm using the heel of my right hand to mute those strings so that I get very clear enunciation and don't create any mud out of the guitar. Because listen, if I play another note on top of that before that note dies, and then another note on top of that, the first note I played, even though I played two other notes, is actually still ringing around in the box. So Casey, if we were sitting together, and I was able to sit across from you and watch you mute, I'd be able to say, "Hey, lighten up your hand a little bit. Put your hand here." But the best thing I can do is tell you, look I put my hand here, I rest it in front of it, and it's lightly rested there, and it also places my hand because of the size of my hand. Look where it places my thumb and my fingers. Place it right over the sound hole where it's a nice place for it to be, rather than up here where you get a different sound, or back here. But here you get a nice mid-range sound on the guitar. I hope that answers your question, Casey. We got another one. Just practice playing by lightly resting your palm. And you know, I'm muting when I play the guitar almost all the time. I rarely play the guitar wide open. By that I mean with no mute, because otherwise it creates mud. Excellent question. Thanks, Casey. Hope
all right,
that
Hawkeye, we have another question. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
This one is from Francisca.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is the fifth chord or five chord always a seventh chord in blues?
Well, not always, Francisca, but it's forgive me, but when you play the five chord as a major chord, like let's say in the key of E, if you play a B, it sounds a little square. And when I say it sounds a little square, what I mean is that a seventh chord, without going into musical theory too much, a five chord that's a B that's going to go back to the E, the five chord stands on its own. But if you play a B chord. But if you play a B7, it seems to lean into the next chord. It's like something else is coming. And so the reason why we like to play a 7th chord, let's say instead of a B chord, a B7, is because it's leaning. And the best way for me to give you an example of that is, listen, I'm going to play that as a bar chord. Let's say I'm on the tonic, the 1 chord, and I'm going to go to the 5 chord, and I'm going to play a B chord, not a B7. Here I go. Okay, now I'm going to play a B7 chord this time. Here I go to the B7 chord. See how it kind of leans? It's like saying, we're not going to stay here. We're going to go someplace. And that's what we want in music, an anticipation. We want the anticipation. So let's isolate it, a B chord all by itself. Now listen to a B7. It wants to go someplace, and that's what we want the music to do. We want the music to move. And so the reason why what I initially said was it's square is that I don't mean that you shouldn't never do it, but the reason why it's square is because it doesn't seem to add any movement to the song, and what makes people want to listen is that they lean forward. You know, the way to get people to listen to you is not by playing louder, it's by doing this. If I whisper, then you all lean forward. What it is. So if you were playing for a bunch of people and they seem to be chatting and not paying attention to you, one of the things to do is not to turn up, not to try to play louder, but to play softer. And the answer to Francisca's question, the best I can make it is, Francisca, you can play the B major chord or the 5 major chord if you want. I just want you to know that the reason why in blues music we usually use a 7th chord in the 5 position, it's for the same reason is that I haven't added it yet. But listen to this. Here's a good example. On the 4th measure, I'm still answering Francisca's question, and this is I'm eliciting an example for you, Francisca, and everyone else. On the 4th measure of 12-bar blues, instead of playing the tonic E chord, I'm going to play an E7. First I'll do an E, and then the second time I do it, I'll do an E7. And you'll see how that by playing a 7th chord, an E7 on measure number 4, all of a sudden it feels like it's telling you something's coming next. Listen, I'll just play the first 5 measures, E chord for 4 measures, and then the A chord, the 4 chord. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now the 4th measure is going to be an E7 chord, and you're going to hear it kind of lean. It's anticipating something. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. See how that felt like it was leaning in? It's like Mike saying, something's coming next. I'm still in the same place, but I'm not done talking to you. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Francisca. When it comes to making music, there are no hardcore rules, but there are some habits that people develop because of what seems to be working for your ear. I love answering the questions, so fire them off to me, guys. That's it? Okay. That means that I can give you some more information on playing the blues. Okay, we were playing the blues, 12-bar blues in the key of G, and I want you to play that along with me now. What are the chords going to be? The chords are going to be G, C, G, D7, 5 chord, C, G. Here I go. Then I'm gonna relax on this because I might do it one time in D, but then I want to do more than play just chunk with my right hand. I want to give you some rhythm techniques. But before I give you rhythm techniques, you got to realize, of course, that's why you're here. That's how important 12-bar blues. We have to know the chord format first. There are other chordal formats for blues, but most of them are 12-bar blues. Okay, we're in the key of G. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, C, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, G, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, D7, 9, 2, 3, 4, C, 10, 2, 3, G, 2, 3, 4. Oh. Okay, so in the same way I put the 5 chord, the D7 in the measure number 12, because now that 7th chord, relating to Francisca's question, by putting it at the 12th fret, it's like saying, I'm not done yet. Okay? So a good way of saying that is it doesn't make it resolve. It makes it feel like there's more coming. All right? You want to play along with me in the key of G? Here we go, one more time. 1, 2, 3, G. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, change. 5, 2, 3, 4. 6, 2, 3, change. 7, 2, 3, 4. 8, 2, 3, change. 9, 2, 3, change. 10, 2, 3, change. 11, 2, 3, change. 12, 2, 3, change. See, by playing that tonic note on the 12th measure, it makes it feel like the song is over. But if I play the 5 chord in the 12th measure, it's like saying, I ain't done yet, there's another verse. Okay? Let's do it one more time and do it in the key of D. This is the double-barreled lesson for everyone, because this lesson is not entitled How to Transpose, but what I've just done is showing you how to play the 12-bar blues in every key. And this is the last time I'm going to make a transposition like this, because I want to give you more material, okay? There's a lot more rhythms that we want to share together. And I'm not looking at the clock, so I'm depending on my two Chris's here, my tech guys, to let me know when I need to move on, because I don't want to bore you guys with stuff, but I could talk about this forever because this is what I do. This is what I love. Okay, great. Here we go. I'm in the key of D. I want to play blues in the key of D. Yes, I do. And also, you need to be able to play in every key. Like I said, you might be a singer and you might say, gosh, I love this song, Pride and Joy by Stevie Ray Vaughan, but I can't, when I sing it, it's too high for me or too low for me. When you got to find the key that you sing in. You know, one of the things that I don't like is when people copy everything off of a record and they do it in the same key that the artist did it. It doesn't matter who the artist did it, and they sound like crap. Forgive me. They sound like crap, and the reason why is what they don't realize is the reason why the song is in that key is because that's where John Lennon sang. He said, okay, I wrote the song in the key of G, but it's too high for me, so I'm going to move it to another key. So every record that you listen to that's a vocal record, the reason why it's in the key that it's in is because that's where that singer's voice is. So you learn the song, and then you transpose it to a key that's comfortable for your voice. Okay, so here we are in the key of D. What's the 1, 4, and the 5? D is number 1. Not D, A, B, C. It's D is number 1. D, E, F, G is number 4, and A is number 5. So we got the 3 chords are D, G, and A, and now we're ready to play the blues. Are you ready to play the blues in the key of D? Maybe I might give you a hard time in the second time through. Sing and see if you get lost. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3. Change. 5, 2, 3, 4. 6, 2, 3, 4. Change. 7, 2, 3, 4. 8, 2, 3, 4. 9, 2, 3, 4. 10, 2, 3, 4. 11, 2, 3, 4. 12, 2, 3, 4. Good morning, blues. This isn't a good key. Blues, how do you do? See, for me, this is an example. Change. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you change? 2, 3, 4. I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? All right, so now that was another double-barreled answer, because what you saw me do is play the guitar 12-bar blues in the key of D, and obviously from the very beginning, that's not where Hawkeye should be singing. Okay, when I started this thing for you, I think I sang "Good Morning Blues" I think I did it in the key of G because that's where my voice lies, and that's what you should do if you want to sing. Okay, let's move on to different kinds of rhythms that you can use. I was just playing down, 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 and the reason why is because I don't want you to worry about your right hand. Now you know the chord format. Now we can start to mess around with our right hand and do different things, okay? So let's stay in the key of E and do this. I think you're like this. Watch. I'm going to pluck with my index and thumb like this on strings number 6 and number 3. Take your finger off the third string. Your index finger is on the first fret of the third string on an E chord. Take it off. Now, pluck strings 6 and 3. Now put your index finger on. Listen. Now do it faster. Now when I go to the A chord, I'm going to go. Start a half a step down and slide up. Now go back to the E chord. I'm hammering on. Now what am I going to do for the B chord? I think I'm going to go. Or with the full chord. Or with the bar chord. Now the A chord. Now that's sort of two things going on there. One, I could have done this just using a bar chord. I could go like this, and I'm going to do it fast. Watch. Get it me? I'm always hammering on that index finger. Bar chord. That's an accompaniment in itself in the key of E. And if you said to me, what about doing it in G? I'd probably go like this. And the same thing with the C. Slide in the bass. Okay? And your D chord. And if you were playing bar chords, you can hammer on underneath your index finger, or you can start the entire chord a half a step back and then slide into it. And we have... This is probably the first blues accompaniment that I learned besides downstroke, is to take my whole hand off and go like this. Now watch. Here I go. I'm going to... A 5 chord. Here I go. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Whole chord. Hammering on. Now, A chord. Good morning, blues. You could do this as a bar as well. How do you do? And I think I will this time because you can see it very clearly. I'm going to go to the 6th fret. Here I am. I'm doing all right. Good morning. How are you? See how that leaned back so that I could start over? Okay, I think that's simple enough, and I don't have a lot of time left. Boy, the time really flies with me. You know, I think I only got about 15 or 20 minutes left, probably 15 minutes left now, and it seems to me like I've only been sitting here for 15 minutes because this is what I love to do, all right? So your patience is really appreciated because I'm sure that some of you feel like it's been 2 hours, and it hasn't been 2 hours yet. So anyway... I want to give you one of the finest, most fun basic blues accompaniments that you're going to hear, and you heard me do it previously when whoever Casey or Aaron asked the question about can you use 12-bar blues in other songs, and immediately what I did was play a shuffle rhythm, and then I double-timed the shuffle rhythm, and it became instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Da 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 da. That's the difference between rock and blues. Hundreds and hundreds. All rock and roll is built on blues music. Okay? Country music is built on blues music. Okay? Bluegrass music is also built on blues music. Did you know that when Bill Monroe was 12 years old, the first gig he ever had on the mandolin was backing up a black blues man in a little string band? He called it bluegrass for a reason. Okay? Everyone knows that's a blues musician, that blues music is the basis for all of American popular music. It's the watershed of American popular music, and most of it is based on this. We're going to play blues in the key of A. Okay, I'm going to make this as easy as I can for you. We're going to play 12-bar blues in the key of A, and I'm going to show you a shuffle rhythm, okay? But we don't need to play all the strings. So here's an A chord. All right? And the 4 chords are A, 1, A, B, C, D, 1 and 4 and 5, and E. A, D, A, E, D, A. That's how the chords are going to go over the 12 bars. Now, this is an A chord, but I don't need the whole A chord. I only need the 5th string open and the 4th string at the 2nd fret. So everybody take your... This is probably one of the most valuable things that you're ever going to take away from this lesson, all right, besides the 12-bar thing. But I hope everything is important. Index finger is on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, okay? And your 3rd finger is then going to play on the 4th fret of the 4th string. So it's going to alternate between the 2nd fret and the 4th fret. And it's simultaneously going to do a double stop, and that double stop is the open A string and the D string next to it at the 2nd and 4th fret. Listen. Da da. Just do this for the first time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3. Change to D. Now play a D chord. Now note, we don't need these other strings. All we're going to do now is just move that same thing over to the next strings. I'm going to be playing, my index finger is on now on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and it's going to rock back and forth between the 2nd fret and the 4th fret, and I'm going to play the 4th string open like this. Okay? And for the E chord, play an E chord. Play your E chord. Now I don't need the whole chord. All I need is my index finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. And I'm going to play the 6th string open. So here are the moves that I just made, and you're probably going to say, that doesn't sound like much yet. That's because I'm giving you the basic move right now, and then I'm going to give you the rhythm in a second with my thumb, okay? Here I go. I'm playing A now. I'm going to play the A string open, the 5th string open, and I'm going to play the D string, the 4th string at the 2nd fret and at the 4th fret, like this. Now I'm going to move over to the D, 4th string and 3rd string. And back to the 4th string, like that. Now go to the 5th string with your index finger and play the 6th string. Now you got to jump over and get to the D string. Okay, now I'm going to count 12 bars, and then I'm going to give it to you as a classic blues rhythm, and then I'm going to show you how it becomes rock and roll. Okay. Here I go. 1. I'm sorry, guys. We're going to run out of time. I got more information to give you. I hope you're getting this down. This whole lesson will probably be posted online on YouTube eventually. But I want to give you more material that's more than you want in this short amount of time. So here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3. Change. 5, 2, 3, 4. 6, 2, change. 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, change. 9, 2, 3, 4, 10, 2, 3, 4, 11, 2, 3, 4, 12, 2, 3, 4. I went to the 5 there instead of hanging on the 1. Okay, now, here's how we make it blues, and this is where it becomes fun. It's always fun, but this is where it becomes the most fun. And I'm going to, just before I tell you this, I'm going to take 15 seconds to tell you that the reason why I play the guitar is because of what I'm going to show you now. The minute I heard this on the radio, I grew up in a small town on the Mississippi River in the Midwest, okay? And late at night, I could get radio stations from all over America, pretty much from the Rockies all the way to the East Coast. And I heard this rhythm, blues rhythm, this shuffle rhythm on the radio. And let me tell you something, I got myself a guitar within 3 months of that because I heard this. Listen, I'm playing da-da-da-da-da-da-da, shuffle rhythm. 2 times. I don't care if you're doing it with a flat pick or your thumb. I'm playing my thumb and I'm playing 1 and 2. How do you count it? You don't count 1, 2, 3, 4 because now we're not playing quarter notes, we're playing eighth notes. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 2 and 3 and 4 and da 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 da. Listen, this is what I did at the opening of the show for you guys. Just do that with me. Don't worry about the changes. Da 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 da. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Change, here it comes. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you change? 5 chord coming up, E. I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? Let's do it again. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Oh, I put some variety in there. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? I went to the 5th fret after the 4th fret. I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? Now watch the variety that I put in there. Here we go from the top. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 2, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, and 3, and 4. Back to the A. Okay, now you want to play rock and roll? Here's why rock and roll is almost exclusively based on blues. I was just playing eighth notes. Da 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 da, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and rock and roll is straight 8. Da 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 da, and it all comes from blues. It comes from that shuffle rhythm that I just showed you. So instead of doing this, you do this. Did you know that I could probably play almost every Chuck Berry song using 12-bar? It's almost all Chuck Berry songs are 12-bar blues, and the rhythm that's being played is not this. That's lead. I'm talking about the rhythm that's going on behind him. Whether the bass player and the piano player are doing it or Chuck does it while he's singing, this is the rhythm. Or, see all the variety that's in there? I'm tempted. I was so tempted to sing You Say It's Your Birthday. I was so tempted to sing Good Vibrations. I was so tempted to sing almost any rock and roll song that pops into my mind by other artists while I was doing that rhythm because yes, the chord changes might be different than 12-bar blues, but the rhythm that's being played is generally that quick shuffle that we call in musical terms, we refer to it as straight 8, because instead of going da 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 da, it's going da 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 da. That's rock and roll. And be sure to be muting, because you don't want to create mud going. The only time I took the mute off is because I wanted you to hear something really clearly in terms of my having gone to the 5th fret. Watch. So I can go, the blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. That's blues. But if I wanted it to be rock and roll, I'd go, the blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. Okay, now there's more that I want to give you, but you're going to say to me, well, Hawkeye, how do I do that if it's not I don't have those bass notes all the time if I'm not in the key of A. So let's do a bar chord. Look here it is with the bar chord. This is where it becomes more difficult. Here's your E-shaped chord, okay? But I don't need the whole chord, so all I need to do is play this and this. But I'm going to play the whole chord so you can see where I am. Look here I am in the key of G. That's a tough stretch. Okay, great. Listen, I think you understand the concept that I'm talking about. Right here, I want to finish this thought. Right here, I'm in G, and when I play my C chord, I can go to this A and go, and my 5 chord can be here, or for ease and keeping things the same, I could play the shuffle rhythm here in G like that, and then go here for the C chord. Here's my C chord, and now I can do this. So coming down from the 5, here's D, here's C, here's G. I have to finish the thought before I wrap this up like this. Listen. That's the easiest way to do it without playing that more difficult bar chord. And if you wanted it to be rock and roll, you'd go. Okay, I hope that's clear enough for you. And if you want to experiment and go, you can enunciate those notes individually. All right? I don't know if anybody has any more questions, but I want to tell you what a pleasure it has been. I'm really surprised. This has gone really quickly for me, and I hope it's gone quickly for you, and I hope you've gotten something out of it. It's Elemental Blues, and I really appreciate your being here, and I want to thank you, and I especially want to thank Jam Play. Jam Play has opened up doors for me just as it's opened up doors for you, and I hope it continues to do so. Go check out my lessons. There's more than 150 lessons of mine. Check out other people's lessons. Go to my website. Enjoy playing the guitar. Remember, it's your best friend. This has been a pleasure for me. And remember, the blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. We're saying goodbye. The blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. How does it make you feel? It makes me feel good from my head down to my toes. I hope it makes you feel good too. Thanks so much.
Tease the next session.
Okay. Don't forget, in about an hour, we're going to be coming back with beginning lead guitar. Okay, so if you don't play any lead, I'm going to show you how to play a lead guitar over this, and at the end of the session, you will be able to play lead guitar, and probably in every key, and you'll be able to play along with your record collection. And the other thing I want you to know that later on, after that, the next session will be in an hour on lead guitar, and that'll be 2 hours long, and then we'll take an hour break, and then I'm coming back, and I'm going to show you how to play with a slide. I'm going to show you how to play slide guitar. And don't worry, I'm going to take it from square one, even to the point of showing you 5, 10, 7, 8 different kinds of slides and what kind of slide to buy and how to approach playing slide guitar. So once again, remember, the blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. And check out HawkeyeHerman.com. And I thank you so much for being here, man. I hope to see you in the next session, the next event that we do an hour from now. I got to get myself some lunch. Get yourself some food. Recharge yourself. Come on back to the computer and check out Hawkeye in another hour. Okay? Here we go. You know the blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. You see my pinky reaching up to that fourth fret? The blues had a baby when they called it rock and roll. 4 frets above my index finger for that pinky stretch. It makes me feel good from my head down to my toes. Good morning, blues, blues, how do you do? Good morning, blues, blues, how do you do? I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? You didn't know what those chords were? Well, I'll go back and say, I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? Remember where we started? Like this. I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? All downstrokes. Don't have to play the shuffle, but I'll do it again because I love it. Good morning, blues, blues, how do you do? Good morning, blues, blues, how do you do?